In the annals of economic history, Britain has long been an iconic symbol of growth, innovation, and economic prowess. From the heights of its colonial empire to the Industrial Revolution, the United Kingdom has witnessed transformative economic phases. This is a journey through the intricacies of an economic landscape that has seen notable shifts and adjustments over the past decade. Britain, once the world's fifth largest economy, faced a downturn following the 2008 financial crisis. Real household incomes dwindled and the country lost its economic standing to India. Reduced income rates, low investment, and economic policy uncertainty have all played their part. These factors have not only affected living standards, but also income equality, government finances, and public services. The consequences were far-reaching, with productivity taking a hit due to inadequate investment. Austerity measures and the convoluted process of Brexit further complicated the economic outlook. The IMF's recent adjustment to its economic forecast for the United Kingdom has brought a glimmer of hope amidst uncertain times. To understand the significance of this change, let's dive into what it means for Britain's economic landscape. Initially, the IMF had predicted a contraction in Britain's economy for 2023. In simpler terms, they foresaw a scenario where the country's economic growth would shrink. This projection set Britain apart as the only major economy on a downward trajectory. It was as if dark clouds loomed over the nation's financial future. However, the story took an unexpected twist. The IMF revised its forecast, and this time, it carried a more optimistic message. The new prediction anticipates growth in the UK's economic output for the year. It suggests that the UK's economy might not be shrinking after all. Even more striking is that the revised forecast puts the UK ahead of Germany, a powerhouse in the European economy, in terms of expected growth. This sudden change in fortune might seem promising on the surface. But as with any story, there are nuances that deserve exploration. The first glimmer of optimism comes from the fact that despite a slight dip in GDP, or gross domestic product, which measures the country's economic performance, the UK has not officially entered a recession. A recession, in simple words, means that the country's economy has been shrinking for a sustained period. So, the fact that the UK hasn't officially entered a recession is a good sign. Another ray of hope shines on the employment front. Unemployment remains relatively low. In straightforward terms, this means that a significant portion of the working-age population in the UK has jobs, ensuring that people can earn their livelihoods and contribute to the economy. Equity markets are also thriving. These markets reflect how investors feel about the state of the economy. When equity markets are doing well, it's a sign that investors are optimistic about the future. This optimism can have a positive impact on economic growth, as it often leads to more investments in businesses and projects. As we continue our journey through the complex landscape of Britain's economic fortunes, we encounter ominous signs that call for our attention. Let's break down what these signs mean and how they might impact the economic situation in simpler terms. Recent data suggests that the UK's economy could shrink in the current quarter, which essentially means that it might become smaller or experience a decline in economic growth. This contraction, if sustained, could lead to something economists call a recession. One of the key indicators pointing towards this gloomy possibility is the S&P Global CIPS Composite PMI. This might sound like a mouthful, and take my word for it, it was. But it's essentially a measure that tells us how well businesses in the UK are doing. When this measure drops significantly, it's like a red warning light flashing, indicating that businesses are not doing as well as before. In fact, this drop suggests that businesses are shrinking or facing some tough times. To put it simply, the UK's economy is not as healthy as we'd like it to be. Now, let's talk about some of the reasons behind these economic challenges. High inflation is one of the culprits. Inflation means that the prices of things we buy regularly, like groceries and clothes, are going up. When inflation is high, it means that the cost of living is increasing and people's money doesn't go as far as it used to. This can put a strain on households and make it harder to make ends meet. The aftermath of the pandemic is another factor at play. When the pandemic hit, it caused a lot of disruptions. Businesses had to shut down and people had to stay home to stay safe. These disruptions are still reverberating in the economy, making it harder for things to get back to normal. To tackle these issues, the Bank of England has been raising interest rates. Think of interest rates as the cost of borrowing money. When they go up, it means it's more expensive to borrow money. This is done to combat high inflation, but it also raises some concerns. If borrowing money becomes pricier, it can slow down spending and investments, which could, in turn, affect the economy. Inflation in the UK is causing economic uncertainty. In simple terms, inflation means that prices of everyday things like food and clothes are rising, making it harder for people to manage their budgets. The UK has one of the highest inflation rates among major economies, but there's hope that it might slow down in the coming months. The Bank of England predicts a decrease to less than 4% by the second quarter of 2024. However, the economic picture is more complex. Slow growth in business prices, reduced orders for goods and services, and declining business optimism contribute to the uncertainty. Slow business growth can lead to fewer jobs, and reduced orders for goods and services can have a ripple effect on employment. The declining business optimism is like a loss of confidence when things are going well. These challenges stem from rising living costs, higher interest rates set by the Bank of England, difficulties in exporting goods to other countries, and overall economic uncertainty. While there's hope for easing inflation, these interconnected factors continue to add layers of uncertainty to the UK's economic outlook. The UK's economy faces a host of complex challenges, from high inflation to global conflicts and stagnant living standards. The Bank of England is trying to fix some of these problems by raising interest rates. Interest rates are like the cost of borrowing money. When they go up, it can be more expensive to borrow, so people might spend less. This can help control inflation, but it comes with risks. In the job market, things are a little bit more complicated. On one hand, more people are finding jobs and wages are going up, but on the other hand, there are fewer job openings. High interest rates, the tools the Bank of England uses to control inflation, have a lasting impact. They affect how much people pay for things like homes and cars, and they can also slow down the economy. The main challenge is to find the right middle ground. On one side, the UK wants to make sure that things don't get too expensive, just like slowing down a roller coaster of cost for people. But on the other hand, they also want to make sure the country's economy stays strong and healthy, a bit like keeping the money flow steady. Balancing these two goals is the real puzzle here. The road ahead is uncertain, but history teaches us that the UK has faced challenges before and emerged stronger. It's a resilient nation with a history of adaptability. The question is, how will the government and its people tackle the challenges of today? If you found this exploration of the UK's economic landscape insightful and want to stay informed about our new videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us going. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you in our next video.